What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Around the World with Steven. Welcome if you're new, and if you're returning, I appreciate you. Worldies and travelers, what do we have today? I miss you all so much. I didn't run away. I felt very sick, and thank you all for your messages of support. I've had a lot of messages of support, and it makes me realize that we have a wonderful family here. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you. On Discord, it's been going amazing over on Discord. We have a Discord account. I'll put it down in the link. Make sure you hop on Discord. It'll have you meet the whole family, the ATW Vibe Squad over there, and also you can put your requests over there. And the reason why I prefer requests over there is because it's in a server that I can revisit. But if it's under the comments, then I'd have to look through it. Not that I'm opposed to it, it's still okay. I'll still do it either way, but join us on Discord, would you? So get into the description, the link will be there. So what do we have today, travelers and worldies? So you have this case about a streamer who was unalived on stream, and that was concerning to me. Now, I had wanted to react to this before I fell sick. However, I could not get to it. Reading a lot of things online, well, not a lot, but what I came across was that there were people actually blaming her. There were other people blaming him, and there were other people putting the blame on both parties. Him being the guy that committed a crime, and her being the streamer who sadly passed. I wanted to look into it, but I wanted to do it here so we could discuss what actually the issue is, because I don't know how she is to blame. I want to educate myself, and this is reported by Mujin. So shout out to Mujin. Thank you so much for reporting and doing this good work. And the title is The Story of the Idol Unalived in Broad Daylight, Ai Mogami, or Ai Mogami. So let's check it out.
An incident that has left an entire country in a state of absolute shock. On the 11th of March 2025, a 22-year-old influencer by the name of Ai Mogami was stabbed live on stream in broad daylight Japan. It's already quite rare to find a murder in this country, but what's even more rare is a violent crime of this nature, where the victim gets stabbed over 30 times. So it's no wonder that people weren't just...
She was over 30 times? Over 30 times? Well, over 30 times is personal. Somebody who probably knew her, or somebody who is really demented and needs to like psychiatric attention. 30 times. And that is not just a stranger who is just walking there somewhere. That is not just a robbery. This is insane.
Shocked, they were visibly confused. Everyone's asking themselves, how did this happen?
Yo, that is the guy?
What led this person to commit such a violent act? But
he looks like an old guy. He looks like an old man. He can't even barely walk. I thought it was... Oh, well, everything I had about this case, or every perception I had about this case, is false. I thought it was a young guy, probably stalking her, a stalker, somebody who was like a loser in life. Well, not saying he isn't. I don't know the story. I'd like to look into it, who like just stalked her and then boom, boom, boom. I didn't know it was like an older person like that. Oh my goodness.
Publications are asking themselves the same questions, with many Western ones like the New York Times not having any of the important details when reporting on it, making this out to be yet another parasocial case, with some even saying that it's another case of misogyny, but it's not that simple. In fact, this incident goes back years. She knew the man and had a hand in making him gradually lose his mind up until this point. It doesn't get crazier than this, and we're going to talk about everything from the beginning, so let's do this. So Airi Sato was a 22-year-old live streamer who went by the name Ai Mogami online. The website she used to stream was whowatch.tv. Japanese people typically call it Fuwatch. She was very active on there and was one of its top performers. Before passing away, she had reached around 2,600 followers, which is apparently really big for this website. Her main area of expertise was just chatting streams, talking to her chat and interacting with them. Sometimes she'd do these creative challenges, going outdoors or talking to strangers, but in a nutshell, for her, it was all about her community. And speaking of community, this is where Kenichi Takano comes in. A 42-year-old man who had found her stream and really liked her personality. He had found her in December of 2021 and very quickly started to donate money to show his support. At his peak, he was donating over 100,000 yen a month. That is not a small amount of money today, being $674. But back then, when the yen was stronger, it was closer to $1,000 per month. This quickly caught Ai's attention because at the time, she wasn't a full-time streamer yet, she was still working at a restaurant. After having donated over 400,000 yen to her in the first few months of 2022, Ai decided to reach out to Takano directly and message him on the Line app. This is when they would...
This guy was giving 100,000 yen, which was 600 and some dollars. And within the first few months, it was over 400,000 yen. That is 600 and some times 4. We're talking about 2,000 plus dollars. That is crazy. That is insane. But I'm not going to knock on that too much because I want money too. If it came this way, I'd be happy. But that is crazy. That is a loyal fan there. That is a loyal supporter. Whew.
First get in touch. For both of them, this was the beginning of the end. This is when their problematic relationship would start to take place. And now we have access to these conversations because they leaked after the incident. On September 2022, she would start to ask him to lend her money directly, not through tipping on the stream, directly to her bank account. One of the first examples of this was her saying that she forgot her wallet at her job and that she's really strapped for cash, saying that she'll pay him back as soon as the next day or the day.
Go to your job and go get your wallet. Go to your job and go get your wallet. If you left your wallet in the job, go back. I can't. This is insane. He's taking advantage of him. I can't tell. If somebody donates to me and they keep donating and they're my top donator or what, however that goes, I can't call them and tell them my personal life issues. At that point, that becomes like some form of extortion. Don't you think? Put in the comments if you agree with me, because I mean, leave that to the live chat. Leave that to entertaining them, because the idea is you're entertaining them and they're appreciating you. They're appreciating your content. Bringing them to your life, your personal life, is devoid of entertainment and everything. Is like, come on, are you extorting him? You forgot your wallet at work?
Day after. She also specified, I want the money transferred to the cash card I have at home, preferably right now. This was at 7 p.m. on September 8th, 2022. Within a minute, Takano responded, can I just transfer it now? Asking how much do you need? And her saying that she needs a few tens of thousands of yen. But this was only the beginning. And guess what? Even though she said that she was going to repay him the day after or the day after that, she didn't. She only kept asking for more. Not even 6 days after saying that she had lost her wallet and needed a few thousands to last her for the next day, she went ahead and asked for another 20,000 yen.
Come on, man.
She wouldn't take no for an answer. He said he couldn't do it with his card, and then she was like, well, what about a direct transfer from your bank account then?
What?
Takano would always find a way. She would do this almost every week for a while, right? Here asking for 50,000 yen. The amount would always keep going up, and the excuses would get crazier. Like, for example, this is a bad translation, but this is her pretty much saying that her sister's pregnant and she can't take care of the baby, so she needs money to help her. And still, Takano would send her money. And around more than
So all these problems started unfolding when you found a top donator on your live stream, huh? Come on, man. You're beginning to look bad. I actually went into this thinking that she's like she's still a victim, but this, come on, this is inexcusable. Are you serious? Like, you're clearly taking an advantage over a 42-year-old guy. And you being that young, he probably thinks, oh, he's helping out. He loves your stream. He's there to help. He tells you he can't transfer with his card. Oh yeah, do direct stepping or go to your bank. And come on, man. At this point, it's getting too damn much. Oh my goodness.
In a month after starting to ask him for money, not only did she keep insisting, things started to get very disturbing. Takano would send Ai a message saying, "I'm worried," and this was in relation to his financial situation after giving her so much money. So she responded by saying, "Hey, where did you get the money from?" And here's what he had to say. This right here is a bad translation, but what he's saying is Eiffel and Raiku, two of the biggest and most well-known loan companies in Japan. This meant that Takano had been taking on loans to send her money whenever she would ask because she was asking so consistently and he didn't have a stable job. So what does she respond with? She says, "I want you to borrow from another company, different from I."
Stop. Are you kidding me? Bro, are you kidding me right now? At this point, I understand I'm getting, wait, it's not over yet. I am beginning to understand the people that put the blame on her. This guy's telling you he went for the money from loan agencies. At that point, it is a stop. Enough. It should have been enough after the second, third time. But let's say you're too dense to understand that he is in. At this point, it is enough. Enough. Don't send anything else. Find a way to pay them. Are you serious? You are a streamer. You get donations. What is wrong with people? Oh my God. He said, "I want you to borrow from another company. I want about 50. Man, what the? Are you serious? And here he says it's really tough. If she insists on this, she's evil. It doesn't mean she should be unalive though, but this is insane.
Eiffel and Reiku because I need 50,000 yen right now, arguing that she has loans to pay. So she saw that he was indebted to two different credit companies, and instead of saying, "You know what, you should stop," she asked him to get indebted to a third company too. And this is when he reveals something even more disturbing. He says, "It's really tough. In fact, soon it will be revealed that I lied and borrowed it." So to get the loan, he had to fake his income and other details about his employment. And again, this was her chance to say, "You know what? Let's lay off this. I'll find someone else or I'll find another solution." No, she triples down and says, "I looked into it. And it turns out that if you have a job that qualifies you as a self-employed person or you're receiving the money in a tax-friendly way, you can still borrow the money even if you can't prove it, so it wouldn't be a lie." And then
that is you, Ai Mogami. You have a job as a self-employed person. You're a streamer. Why put that on this guy who has nothing? Yo, this is serious. Why don't you go for the loan then? Why don't you go for the loan? He had to commit fraud to get money to give to you. He's not using that money for himself. He's using the money as you telling him you need help to help you out. He owns two loan people. And what you can say is go for a third loan. And if you have a work that shows you're self-employed, you can. Come on, are you serious right now? He should commit another fraud to get you money. Oh wow! Now it's my pity level started here. It's now somewhere here. It's not somewhere here. That is crazy. I still don't think she should have been unalive though, but that is crazy.
Specified very clearly, "I lied about my annual income and working hours." But the conversation still goes on and she keeps insisting. Even if you don't have your personal information registered as a regular employee, you can still pass the screening and it's often impossible to confirm, so there's no way they'll find out if it's true or not. I went through because I couldn't confirm it. So I want to point out the fact that she was an expert at this, as if she's done this multiple times before. Even a financial advisor wouldn't know all this. So it does beg the question, was he her only victim at this point? We still don't know. He also states that he's been ignoring the credit companies and that he'll probably be getting a lump sum bill because he's been ignoring them. Also specifying that the billing address that he put was his parents' house. So his entire family was implicated at this point, but she just didn't care. He says, I'm getting scared of lying to borrow money now. And then she says, there's nothing I can do. I did it once. And then Takano says, so whatever happens, happens. So at this point, yeah, you might be asking yourself many questions. Why is this guy doing this? Well, look, from all the text messages that leaked, he wasn't perverted. He never asked for any nudes or anything weird. It seemed that he just really liked watching her streams. She reached out to him for help, and he just couldn't say no. But even if he wanted to say no, she was very good at emotionally manipulating him, as evident.
And it shows. The reason why I didn't even ask that question of why he's helping is because I have been helped. When I came from Africa to the States, I went to a place where it's not a city. It's a very, very small town. And I had people who took me in as their son. There were a lot of people who were not my skin color at all. At all. I went weeks, months without seeing anybody my skin color, right? But they helped. They really did, until I graduated. And I appreciate that so much. They've been a part of my life, and I call them family. So, like, somebody willing to help, I have been at the receiving end of being helped, and I've also helped. So I know how it both feels. I haven't put a single blame on him, because his thought process might be, oh, she might really be going through this. Even though I think taking a loan to help was way too much, but I understand that he, being a 42-year-old, seeing this 20-some-year-old streamer is trying to help. She's evil. Her communication here is of an extortionist, and I'm sorry to say that. It has nothing to do with her being unalived. I don't wish she was unalived, but everything about that is horrible. It's indeed horrible. Pushing this guy to his breaking point, helping him to defraud, and taking loans, putting his family's address, implicating his whole family. You don't even have an ounce of remorse. Wow.
Evidenced by these messages. Look at this. He tells her in the beginning of November 2022 that he had applied to Raiku, right, the credit agency, to get more money to gift to her. She replies with, yeah, with this emoji. Takano then says, I hope I can borrow it, with a cute emoji. 15 minutes later, what does she reply with? She says, I want to die if I can't borrow money. Takano says, don't say that. I replies with, I want to do it. So this is complete and utter emotional manipulation.
Right there. Goes to show how evil and manipulative she is. And we don't talk bad about the dead, especially people that passed like through tragedy, but this has to be said. This is sad. This is sad. This is horrible. Are you serious? You want to die because he can't borrow money. He can put his life on the line to defraud a bank to get loan to give to you. He's not using that on himself. He's not using that in his life to better his life. He's just borrowing and giving it to you. And you're manipulating him by saying you want to die. You live stream for a living. You get donations for a living. Not for a living, part-time. You still work.
This is disgusting. But obviously, it gets worse. He falls asleep briefly for around more than an hour. He says, I fell asleep, then says, I stay alive. Then she says, Takano, I can't live without you. Then he replies with, I'm happy. Me too, I can't live without you. And then Ai Mogami finishes off the conversation by saying, thank you as always. I love you. Yeah. I don't think it's too crazy to assume that Takano might have thought that she was into him, that she, I don't know, appreciated him as more than a friend. Maybe that's what he was hoping for, but he never really expressed that in text messages. He was just always happy to help. But then, Takano's fantasy was cut short when the creditors came knocking. He had given her over 2.5 million yen, and back then that was over $20,000, with 1 million yen out of those 2.5 million being from creditors. So around the end of January 2023, he started asking for his money back, at least gradually, not all of it at once, saying, hey, listen, tomorrow, please start to pay me back. I replies with, sorry, can it be 2 days instead? He says, well, okay, fine, just please, on the 2nd of February. Then on the 2nd of February, he says, please deposit, what's going on? You said on the 2nd, so I moved it to the 2nd. The next day he says, please give me the money back. And on the 5th of February, he says, you're not going to pay me back anymore? Ai Mogami then replies, this is a really bad translation. What she actually said was, no, I am going to give it back. And then Takano says, is that so? This is when she would pretty much ghost him. She would not reply to him anymore. 6 days later, Takano says, I'm barely making ends meet, so unless you transfer the money, I won't be able to pay anything in advance. Please transfer the money. A couple days later, I guess I won't get my money back. A few days later, are you willing to refund the money? Nothing. He was just talking to a brick wall. But of course, for
Oh my goodness. You see the desperation in his voice? Now, you think a desperate man like that with nothing to lose won't give it all up? Won't go crazy? You see, everybody has the tendency to be a monster. Everybody. Every single person. It's in there. The reason why we're all not monsters is because we haven't had the moment that has brought that out of us. Some people who do terrible things sometimes and somehow were pushed there. Let me give you an example. We reacted to the people that were caught as kids and put in a camp to beautify South Korea for the Olympics. You remember what they said when they came out? One person said, when I came out, I hated everybody. I wanted to pew pew everybody. I wanted to unalive everybody. I just wanted to go on a killing spree. You know why? That monster was brought out of him. Was he like that when he went there? I don't believe so. But that thing in there was brought out. This guy was the kindest guy. Why would he go from this to stabbing somebody 30 times? The monster was brought out of him. We have every right not to push people to that limit. We do. Sometimes you bullying somebody, you laughing at somebody, you making comments, passing derogatory comments, you doing stuff like what Ai Mogami did. It's pushing somebody closer and closer to get into that point where the monster comes out and they just black out and it's boom, boom, boom. I'm not giving excuses for people who are trash human beings who did that, like Anders and some of the cases, like the most hated men in Korea. They were monsters without even having to bring anything out of them. They're trash human beings. I'm talking about decent human beings who are pushed to do stuff like this. We have every right not to bring such emotions out of people. Let's be decent. Let's really be decent.
For him, it only got worse. Not only were the creditors after him, but he was witnessing her live stream and get a lot of money from live streams, while at the same time celebrating the fact that she had found a fiancé, that she was about to get married, and that they both were living in a high-rise apartment together, meaning that she was financially well off, and yet he hadn't seen a single cent returned from her. Takano was very frustrated, understandably, and losing a lot of hope, but interestingly enough, he sought to resolve this legally. He had lent her money, he was in big financial trouble, but in 2023, he sued her in order to get his money back. And in December of 2023, he actually won the lawsuit. The judge had ordered her to pay him back everything he's lent her, so 2.5 million yen, with an interest rate of 3% per year from December 8th, 2023 until the payment is made. So the court fully sided with Takano. He was completely in the right, because at the time he had no stable income and was living in poverty. So obviously him winning that lawsuit was a relief. At least it seemed that way until he realized that it didn't really change much. Ai Mogami would start to reference this lawsuit on stream sometimes in a passive-aggressive manner, saying things like, I borrowed money and I'm going to court. Or the comments from a certain individual saying, give me my money back, were so awful that I blocked him using the block function. She would even say that all she had to do was pay back all the money to get rid of this lawsuit in a nonchalant tone, as if it wasn't a big deal. The reality of these two could not be more different. In the court records of this lawsuit,
Dude, you are a horrible human being, Ai Mogami. I mean, oh my gosh. You are a terrible, terrible, terrible human being. It still doesn't excuse you getting on a live, because I don't want you to get, I wish it wasn't that way, but you pushed him. At this point, you did. Bro, you mocked him on live streams too? What are you doing? Mobilizing people against him? Now he's being seen as a creep. That is how simple that is done. If I stand here and I gain a little bit of following, it doesn't have to be much. It has to be a little bit of following, and then I tell my following, oh, you know, this person, oh, you know, somebody in this live stream, in this community did that. Immediately 90%, 80% of my live streamers who love my content, who have associated me with positive content, who have associated me with being real, reactionary, nice, like a nice person, whatever, are going to definitely put that person in a bad light. That is what Ai Mogami was doing. After that, after the court gave you that order, what you could do was bring it out. I thought you would pathetically shut up and deal with it behind the scenes. But really, you brought it up and mocked him? Man.
Takano had said, I had feelings for her and wanted to help her if she was in trouble, and there she was nonchalantly saying, yeah, I guess I just have to pay it back. Additionally, since Takano watched her streams regularly, he understood that she was making a lot of money through tips and donations. She had a platinum badge on FuWatch, which meant that she was one of the platform's top streamers. There are multiple ranks on this website, right? And typically when you get to the point where Ai Mogami was, you're making a monthly income of 300,000 to 400,000 yen in donations. And still, he was seeing nothing. Even though the court had ordered her to pay him back, he was not seeing a single cent. But obviously, the salt in the wound did not end here. She had a Twitter account that is private, so we don't know much about it. But some people found another Twitter account of hers that was fully about poker, with the first post she had posted on this account being her holding a bag full of chips worth 542,000 yen. So that could explain where a lot of Takano's money might have gone. So at this point, Takano felt completely cornered. He had tried to help someone who he really liked, getting indebted to 2 different companies and living in poverty, and even though he had gone through the legal means of getting his money back, nothing had changed, and he was seeing the same woman who scammed him and played with his feelings continue to stream and thrive, making a lot of money monthly. Eventually, during the year of 2024, something had cracked in him, and in 2025, he made up his mind. He sent her one final message on March 7th, 2025, blaming himself for falling in love and being deceived, and asking her one last time, please give me my money back. I'm in the negative because of the consumer loans I borrowed to lend to you, and I can't live. Asking, can you somehow pay me back at least 10,000 yen, which is not even like $100? Adding that he'd been taking a lot of pills recently and had been sleeping all day because of how depressed he was. But of course, he was ignored. 4 days later, Ai Mogami had gone live, streaming around the Shinjuku area. Takano saw this, recognized the area, and decided to go pay her a visit. He took Oyama Station, which was the closest to him, and rode close to 2 hours down to Shinjuku. She was initially streaming around the Takanadobaba station, but then made her way down to the Shin Okubo station. So he took the metro, and he followed her. This is a map that kind of tells you how it happened. He started here, he went down here. She kept walking this way, and so then he followed her that way too. And that's where the incident took place. Eventually, he was able to make out where she was streaming from, so he made his way to her tripod setup, and that's where he struck. Multiple times, repeatedly, violently, with a blank look in his eyes. The knife he had used was 13 centimeters in length. He showed up with a backpack, and there were 2 other knives in there as well. He had stabbed her over 30 times in the neck, in the chest, in the shoulder, and initially she was screaming help, but then went silent. And I mean, think about that for a second. 30 times, just doing the same motion over and over again. That's not normal, right? None of this is normal. This is very violent, and the fact that he had a very blank stare made it worse. In fact, he kept talking to her as she was laying on the ground. At that point, the screen was completely black. You could hear sirens in the background, and you could also hear him asking her, while she lay on the ground, "Are you dead yet?" while kicking her. To say that there was fear and confusion is an understatement. The entire place was swarmed with police and paramedics. And to add to the confusion, people didn't even know who was actually stabbed. This tweet right here with almost 500,000 views said that she was a voice actress and a live streamer, stabbed by an anti-fan while streaming on the Japanese site FuWatch. Ai Mogami was not a voice actress, she was a live streamer, and that's because they were confusing her with a voice actress by the same name. This Ai Mogami was being flooded with emails, DMs, calls, messages, thinking that it was her that was stabbed. Her agency had to put out a statement saying, listen guys, first off, condolences to whoever just got killed, but please stop flooding my messages, it's not me. And as you can see, this was pretty damn significant, seeing that this post has over 30 million views. Now, when it comes to Japanese people, the reactions varied greatly. Very shortly after the stabbing incident, people made up a makeshift memorial. But you might have noticed the fact that many of these news outlets, their videos that they posted on YouTube, are heavily disliked. And that's because for some Japanese, they're siding way too much with the victim rather than the plight of the person who committed the crime. You can see this in the comments, with this one having over 2,400 likes saying, "There's no way you can borrow 2.5 million yen and just say, I don't know, block? I can't approve of murder, but I can understand the feeling of murderous intent." This post on Twitter echoes a different statement, saying, "Whatever they do to you, don't stab them to death," reminding people that Takano had kicked her when she was down after the stabbing, so don't blame the victim, he's in the wrong here. There was a lot of discussion in the comments section of the article.
Yeah, he's in the wrong there, but it took something to build that up in him. I'm not giving an excuse to him. He should not have done that. Definitely should not. To me, I think he should have gone back to court. He should have gone back to court. Hey, this girl's not paying me my money like you guys told her to, right? And then they can find a way to do it. If there is something they got to do to her to pay the money, or, you know, but the whole build up kind of, you know, man, the whole build up makes this like, well, it's bad, but it's bad, it's horrible, but, you know, you don't do that to people. So I now see how both of them are in the wrong. She caused him, reeled the evil out of him. And he couldn't control his actions.
On Yahoo Japan detailing the incident. The most upvoted ones echoed the fact that yes, they do feel sorry that she had to be murdered, but at the same time, they felt sorry for the perpetrator. So as you can see, this is a very complex situation. It's not black and white at all. And in the end, I think it doesn't have to be. I think multiple things can be true at once. It's true that murder is too far. He is definitely wrong for that. But at the same time, it's not like she was innocent either. She manipulated him hard, and she was really good at it, making many people wonder if she had done it before and if there are other victims. It's just unfortunate that we couldn't conclude this without any bloodshed. Guys, be safe out there, and if someone asks you for money, know your limits, because if it's too good to be true, then it probably is, okay? Stay safe out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. I love you. Mwah.
Shouts out to Mujin for this. This is absolutely well done. This is absolutely well done. Wow, what do I think about this? Bruh, I'm in the same boat. Two things, or multiple things can be true at once. Definitely, unaliving her was not the answer. Unaliving her put you in a bad situation because the debt's still unpaid, and now you've got to face repercussions, you know. But was Ai Mogami, the streamer, a shitty human being? Yes, she was. That's also true. I believe he should have taken it back to court. I believe he should have told the court she's not paying. She's not paying. I'm still asking for desperate, asking her for 10,000. This guy had given you 2.5 million yen. To the point he's asking for 10,000. That's desperacy right there. Giving you all this chance. Are you serious right now? Man, I don't even know how I feel. I'll catch you on in another one. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about this whole mess? Like, what do you think about it? Do you side with the victim? Do you side with the perpetrator? Are you in the same boat as I am? Put that in the comments. And I'll catch you in the next one. Love you all. Bye.